Welcome to Just Minding My Business Radio, where we are moving at the speed of God, learning what we didn't know we didn't know. I'm your host, Ida Crawford.
And I'm your co-host, Ruth Haskins.
So grab a pen and paper and get ready for information that you can use.
Welcome to Just Minding My Business. I hope you had an amazing day. And I am happy to bring to the mic today Miss Tara Ezell, who is an author, coach, and a speaker. And for 2 decades, Tara Ezell has inspired audiences through a combination of comedic delivery, unforgettable life stories, and in-depth research. An educator with 15 years of classroom involvement, Ezell teaches her audience how to revive their imagination, rebuild their vision after failure, and how to avoid repeating the unattractive habits of the past. This message has been applied to individuals, families, and business professionals with measurable success. Well, welcome, Tara. I am so happy to have you here.
Welcome, Tara.
Yeah, so tell us, how did you get on this road?
Of teaching the Entrepreneurs Academy. Let's just go back for a minute, because when you get to be my age and you get older, that's when you're able to start connecting the dots. You can look back and see why you are here at this moment, at this time. Mm-hmm. So my story, I have multiple stories, but this one in particular, it takes me back to when I was in high school. I wrote a story, I can remember the name of it. It was called Zelda Pickett. And I wrote a story about a woman who was homeless, sitting on a staircase, looking at people walking by and hoping and wishing she could have a life like them. So I wrote that story, but when I got that paperback from my high school teacher, it was red writing all over it.
Oh, wow.
And you remember back in the day when we used red ink, when teachers used red ink, She put a big fat F on my paper with a circle. Oh, wow. So at that point, well, they stopped it all these years, thank God, because it is an emotion attached to, that red pen.
Yes, it is.
So what she did not do, she never showed me how to do it. So I went on into college not knowing how to write, and it showed up some more. And I was embarrassed about that. So I wanted to do something about it. I hung out in libraries, which I am here right now. I hung out in libraries to learn what this process of writing is all about. Then I went on to become friends with my professors. I started studying business, but I quickly got out of it because I wanted to study my weakness, which was English. So I got a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, and I studied that thing. So long story short, I've always loved writing. I've always loved stories, but I didn't know how I was going to bring those things alive. At the time, I felt like I had no experience, and I also had that fear, like, why would somebody want to listen to me? But time goes on, and I always wanted to write a book, but didn't know my angle until one day God spoke to me and told me what kind of book I was going to write. And that's when I wrote The Truth of Your Soul. It is an inspirational guide to rejuvenate your soul in 30 days. So it's not my first time writing a book, but it is my first time publishing a book. Mm-hmm. So the euphoric experience behind that was beautiful. And I thought to myself, why is it that some people won't write a book? The process is daunting. So my idea was to show individuals how they could write a book, because the self-publishing industry has changed. We no longer have to stand in the fear of dealing with traditional publishers, because that process can take a year to 2 years before your book can even come out. And plus, you're going to hear 1,000 no's before you get to your yes. But your yes can start today. Your yes is you can move into self-publishing and be just as successful as a person who is dealing with a traditional publisher. So the Entrepreneur Academy came about probably a year and a half now. I was invited to do a speaker's workshop with professional business people. I had no idea what I was going to talk about. And I had a business partner of mine say, hey, Tyra, you've studied this stuff. You've gone through the process. So why not teach other professionals how to write a book for their business? And that's how the Entrepreneur Authors Academy came about.
Wow, that is a beautiful story.
Thank you.
And I was talking to somebody today about how a lot of successful people, somebody told them they couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. Somewhere in that journey, somebody told them they couldn't do it. And those words just said to these people, oh, yes, I can. It's like it propels you into proving I can do it.
Absolutely.
So sometimes that negativity that might come from people shows up in a different way in us. Yeah. Some people might give up, but other people might say, I can do this. I don't know what she's talking about or what he's talking about. I'm going to do this. But you get that kind of air.
Absolutely.
So the entrepreneur company that you have, tell us about that.
Well, first, let me say that when I was conducting this workshop, I was selling a program I did not have in place. So I knew that I had to get on it right away, because there were hungry entrepreneurs in the audience who wanted to produce a book for their business. So it took me about 6 weeks to put the program together. So the program is geared towards, as the word says, entrepreneurs, thought leaders, especially speakers. If you're a speaker, you need to have a book. And it also attracts people who want to have a career as an authorpreneur. So I target this market of people because we come with the same characteristics that you need to be a successful published author. One is we know how to stimulate the economy. So in your writing piece, you have to be able to tell your stories, or whether it's informational, you have to be able to still stimulate the minds of your readers. So we also know how to function in highly competitive environments. So when you enter into the world of authorship, we're talking about 7.5 billion authors around the world.
Wow.
I don't want you to compete with them. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you need to find out in your genre, in your topic that you're talking about, what is it that you need to do your own research to find out what is it that they're saying or not saying that you need to say in your writing piece. And so that's how you're going to separate yourself from the crowd. When you are a business owner, you should be already invested in researching. So coming into the authors program, I don't skip that piece. We are definitely going to do some researching and see how you can make yourself separate from anybody else. So in saying that, within the last 2.5 years, 25 million, and we're going to call them risk taker because that's what entrepreneurship means. You're a risk taker. So 25 million American business owners started their business. So when I look at those numbers, I can't help but to say, can you imagine the stories to come out of that?
Mm-hmm.
And most people won't pursue it. We got 3 reasons why they won't. One is the fear. You need to treat fear like it's a bad date. You need to be out of my life. You're not helping me to progress. So you need to go so I can move forward in this process of producing my book. The other thing is time. Who has time? I know I don't. But when you want to write, you have to carve this time out. And let me say something else about time. It was 2 weeks ago today that I was driving down the highway and an individual was hit by a car and their body landed in front of my car.
Mm.
I had to watch the process of that person losing time. The second thought was I saw dreams, purpose, aspirations leaving with that individual. So I'm asking, how much time do we think we really have? We don't own time. So you got to carve it out and make it happen. So as far as time, I don't accept it as an excuse. And the last thing is a system.
Yes.
Most time people don't finish or produce a book because they don't know what system to use. So that's where the Entrepreneur Authors Academy comes in. We teach you how to, number one, set the foundation, which is the creation process. We're going to undig some news articles that you probably have written, some blog posts, some Facebook posts you have done. We take and we start somewhere because you're going to dig through your material to see what kind of conversations you normally have with people all the time. What do people think of you and your expertise? Like, let's start there first. And even if you don't have anything, I can help you muster up something. So we're going to look at topic. We're going to research that topic. We're going to brain dump that topic. And I mean, coming from a education background and teaching English, I have a process that you must take in order to get to the final product. So we're not going to skip research. We're not going to skip brainstorming and just gathering information from everything that you're looking at and synthesizing it into developing chapters. So we move you, and I'm not going to go through all of it, but I have like top 10 reasons why you should write a book, and I'll give you 5.
Okay.
Number 1, this can open up doors to speaking engagements, or it can catapult your career as a speaker. Number 2, if you are an established business owner, this is a gateway for people to find out more information on your business. If you already have products and services in line, now, because you're considered an expert in your field because you wrote this book, you can now begin to increase your prices on your products, on your services. And then you invite the world of consultation. And then again, increase your prices on those things. Mm-hmm. So there's 10, but that's just a little brief introduction of why you need to write this book. Mm-hmm. And then let's talk about residual income. Your book can still produce residual income 70 years after you pass. So you're leaving something for your family. Mm-hmm. So that's coming into the 10 reasons. And I want you to choose like 3 to 5 reasons to be your premise of why you want to produce a book, and like stick it on your wall while you're writing, because that's going to help gear your book to where you want it to be. And on top of that, the reasons why you want to. So we're talking about creation process, and then we move on to design. We're designing this book from the front cover all the way to the last word on the last page to the back part of your book. That design involves knowing how to set up your chapters, knowing how to do the settings on your book, knowing where to put your ISBN numbers, your copyright, your acknowledgments, your outline. And then we also move on to a process called SAM. SAM is acronym for selling, audience, and marketing. So selling, you want to be able to sell to your readers so you can turn them into customers. And I give you strategies on how you can also do that. Then we're going to move into attracting your audience. How do you attract your audience? Well, first of all, you need to know how to date them first. So that dating process is creating the platform to start having conversations with them about what you're doing. You can actually start marketing your book. If you have an idea for a book, you can start marketing that today. And that means go onto social media, start having conversations with your friends to tell them your ideas at what you're doing for your book and see what kind of feedback you're going to get. So that's a starting point there. Then you're going to learn how to market to the masses. You want to go where they shop. Amazon is the front runner for America and the UK as far as the digital world. They're the front runners. Then we have Kobo, that's located in Canada, who's also part of the book digital world. We have Toledo, that is in Germany. Toledo owns about 40% of the digital world of book marketing. So Kindle is its competitor. So those are places where we start to find out where you can market your book, but there's a plethora of places that you can do that. The digital world is big now. We no longer have to be sheltered by doing book signings at a physical place. All of this can occur right here online. And I have those strategies for you to be able to do that. Because we have to remember that traditional publishing, 1% of people or authors will become millionaires from that. So what is the other 99%? What are we going to do?
Right.
So that's where the world of self-publishing comes in, and you have these multiple streams and ways that you can earn income for your book. You're no longer held to traditional publishing. I once read that if you need a publisher, then a publisher doesn't need you. But if a publisher needs you, you don't need a publisher. So the way I help you design your book is where you don't need a publisher. I can show you avenues on how to create these multiple streams of income. But here's the thing, it takes work. Writing the book is just half the battle. There's another half where you got to show up on these social media lines and you got to promote your book. Now, my purpose for writing my book was solely for my speaking engagements. And I mean, after I finished speaking, oh boy, they coming. They are coming to buy the book. So I'm telling you, it's out there for you. When I announced on social media that I was a self-published author, immediately I don't want to say immediately, it took maybe a week or so, but I know within that month, I sold over 200 books.
Wow.
Okay. So it is very possible. Very. And so the last level of the program is the publishing phase. There's 3 levels of it. One is self-publishing. One is traditional publishing. And then we have hybrid publishing. The hybrid publishing is a combination of traditional and self-publishing. You're giving up some of your rights to publishing companies, and then you own a certain amount of rights. But still in all, no matter what, you still have to participate in the marketing plan of your book.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's what a lot of writers don't want to deal with, because like you just said, it's work.
Yeah.
So, but you have to come from a place where you running the business. The whole reason why you're in business is to make money. And
right.
Doing the things that you need that's going to increase your revenue is just part of the work to build your company.
It is.
And
it
especially
is.
if you look at it that way, it's no longer feeling like work. It's like you building your company.
Yeah.
It's also about your passion. If you're writing a book that on a topic that is near and dear to your heart, then to be able to get it out there is just part of the joy of doing it. You know, what's the purpose of writing it and not being able to share it? That's
absolutely
is what would carry me over. It'd be like, okay, right. It's raining, it's snowing, I don't care. Whatever I have to do, I'm out there, I'm going to do it. Because to write a book, and so many of the books that I see now that are self-published are really books that are coming from the heart. They're coming from people's absolute experiences in life. And yeah, once you've got it down on paper, getting it down is the hard part. You know, kicking fear to the curb. Because when you put it on paper, you are revealing who you are. And so that's so hard to do sometimes. You just get scared. It's like, what is the world going to think about me? What's my family, my friends, when they see that I've written this book? Oh my gosh, they didn't know that. I've never told anybody this. You know, all that kind of stuff. You know, it's like, oh my gosh. And then you finally do it. It's like, oh. There's something wonderful about writing down the bones. Writing down the bones, and putting it on that paper, and saying, I got that little piece down. I can get the next one. I can do the next one. Because it's liberating for us.
Yes, you know? And the other part to that, too, is that you're being the light for somebody else.
Yeah.
When you put your story down, because somebody out there has been through that same thing. And because you're showing how courageous you are to tell your story, that takes a lot of courage, a whole lot of courage, because we already know a lot of stories ain't pretty. There's a lot of mess. And for you to even take that step to do that is like, you know, you got to commend just for that. And then the whole idea is you're changing another life.
And that is really the prayer about when you write, is that something that you write will affect someone else. And they'll say, oh, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one who felt like that. How many times have we read a passage in a book and said, wow, they're writing about me. They just told my story. Or at least a piece of it. A liberation that comes with knowing that there are other ones who have gone through the same thing. You know, you don't feel so alone. And like I just said, some of the stories are not pretty, you know, they can be.
They're not.
And what I love about the whole self-publishing is that, you know what, it's better to get that mess out there, make it an open book, because like Ida and you were saying, you know, it may help someone else heal. It's a healing process. And right now we are in need of healing across the board in so many different ways. And that's where I see the self-publishing coming, your work that you're doing, just so important. So I'd like to ask a question. How does someone take these steps with you? How do we go about this?
How do you take the steps to, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Into your author entrepreneur.
So how do they contact you? How do they get in your class?
I'll do like a private, I have done a private page on Facebook and inviting people to come out and hear me speak. It's just rare occasions that I don't get a speaking opportunity after leaving. It's always someone who wants me to show up and talk to, their audience. So it usually comes through that. Or someone that I know who knows me, because sometimes it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you.
Right.
And they'll mention me to someone about coming out to speak. So that's usually how it works for me, thank God. But I took a hiatus for a couple of years. So I lost my brother to a massive stroke as I was completing my book. And that was very heartbreaking and traumatic for me. But I had people knocking at my door saying, no, you got to finish this book. You got to step out of mourning. Do this for your brother. And I did it. That was January of 2017.
So my second brother was diagnosed with cancer shortly after my first brother. So that was pulling my attention away from my work. And then my mother, 4 months later, was diagnosed with cancer. And so I spent my last 3 weeks with her until she transitioned. So in such a short time, I had loss and pain. So I had to take time away from myself so that I can come back in a healthy state to start talking with my audience again. So now I'm in a healthy and emotional and a strong spiritual space. So I am back on the scene. I'm back to my purpose. I am back to being a service of God to his people. So my mother's gone. My brother's gone. Thank God the other one is in remission. But what am I going to do now? I have to keep pushing and I have to keep moving and I have to stay focused where God has me going. So with that mindset, my schedule has already picked up. I am busy, I am moving, but I'm so grateful for it. So yes, my calendar has already been filled up with my speaking engagements, especially for 2020. But I want to make sure I'm still focusing on my authors program because I'm just ready to really show people a system that works. And you no longer have to sit there with your stories in your belly. There is a way for you to pull these things out. Wow. So when I think about when you mentioned how we don't want to tell our dirt or we don't want to tell those things that's going to expose us, for various reasons we don't say it. Mm-hmm. But let me just tell you why you should. When I think about like the process of coal mining, when they extract the rock to get the coal, because we're going to use that coal for our resources, right? Mm-hmm. But there's something called tailings that is the extraction from the rock as well. Tailings is the aftermath of the explosion. Mm-hmm. They take the tailings, they put it onto a dump truck. They take the tailings to a dam to never be used again. So when I look at my life experiences, and I'll share it briefly. I don't hide my story. From the age of 5 to 8, I was molested by a family member. And when I turned 8 years old, he decides to take my life. And I crossed over to death. But guess what? I'm here talking to you. So it wasn't my time. When I turned 18 years old, I was raped in a cornfield by a family member. And I just came out 3 years ago about that story. And then I spent more than half of my life in domestic violence. I am now healed to where I can talk about that dirty laundry. So when I went back to extract my experience, I now use that as a part of my story that can help move somebody else out of theirs. Because like you said, people need to know that they're not alone. Mm-hmm. Even though I felt I was, I really wasn't. So I'd never want another person to feel like they're alone. And my story in itself qualifies me to tell you that you're not.
Wow. Indeed.
So extract that story, let the rest of it go. Put it in the dam. It's not even good for you anymore. Take what you can. So I look at my life experience very objectively. Very. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you don't have to pull your emotions into it.
I think that has to do with as maturity as well. Being able to be objective, to be able to look through the chapters of your life and go, so this is what happened and that's what happened. And oh yeah, that happened. Oh, I've forgotten about that. But without being emotional, you don't go into it and drag yourself back into all those emotions that you have. It's just like, this is my life. This is what happened. And that objectivity is really helpful in writing.
Yes. And the other part to that, I was just talking to a friend of mine on the way home from work today, and we were talking about our pasts, the good, the ugly, all of it has got us to where we are today.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it's a part of the journey. And then I believe that things happen for a reason.
Yes.
Everything. There's no mistakes. It happens for a reason. Either God wants you to use that experience to lift somebody else up. I mean, when we're
absolutely,
we can't feel, we don't see none of that. We don't feel none of that. We asking God, why me? We going through all kinds of emotional changes about it because in that moment, it's happening to you.
Absolutely, yes.
It's not until you move through it that you actually see the purpose of it.
Right.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
So how do people get in contact with you?
As we speak, I have a website going up that should be ready by tomorrow. There's some work being done on it, but it's called justtara.com. Mm-hmm. That's one way that they can reach me. They can also reach me on Twitter and on Instagram at Just Tara Ezell. And on Facebook, I'm under Tara Ezell.
Tara, you are a beautiful soul. Yes. I told you that when I first talked to you.
You did. Yes, you did.
And I am just so happy that we connected, because I can already see that we're going to be doing quite a bit of
absolutely.
Your
Amen.
It's amazing, and your strength. I mean, going through all of that back to back, still pushing forward.
Yes.
Testimony itself. It truly is.
Yes, indeed. And just being in a dark world, feeling like you can't overcome. And I mean, coming with that, coupled with depression and darkness, you're faced with, thoughts of suicide. Mm-hmm. So I've been through it. Yeah. I've been through it, but my God, he can do it. He can do it. Mm-hmm. You just have to believe and be willing to open yourself up to healing.
So one more time, Tara, how can people get in touch with you?
There's my website is having some work done to it, but it should be up by tomorrow. And you can find me at justtaraezell.com. That's JUSTARAEZELL.com. Or you can reach out to me on Twitter and Instagram under Just Tara Ezell. And you can also contact me and connect with me on Facebook, Tara Ezell.
All right. So what part of the country are you in?
I am in United States, over in Duluth, Georgia, which is the outskirts of Atlanta. Currently right now in Charlotte, but I'll be heading back to Georgia in about a week or so. Charlotte is like my third home.
Okay. So you're going to be going to Georgia? Because I definitely want to connect with you, because we have some travel dates coming up, and I just want to make sure, I want to find where you are so that we can connect.
Oh, yeah. And you are in Philadelphia, is it? Pennsylvania?
Yes, I'm in Littlestown, Pennsylvania, and Ruth.
I'm in Columbia, Maryland.
Okay. Yeah. I would, I love to travel. So even if I came up to have dinner with you and just hang out for a day or two, I'm that type of person.
Sound like a plan to me.
I would love to do that. I would love it. I love people. I love connecting with people. I'm a social bug.
Yeah, so am I. So am I.
Yeah. Yeah.
The first time I talked to you. Blessing and an honor to have you on the show. With all of the distractions that came through, we made it through.
We did. Yes. Thank you.
I appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to doing a lot more collaborations.
Yes.
Definitely getting you connected with my circle of folk that will definitely bring value to what you're doing.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. I'm very, very honored. And, let me just really say, give my hats off to you ladies for doing this show, because we have so many stakes against us as Black women who are trying to rise in business. We have so many women issues that we need to tackle, and just to find out that there is a sister circle there for us to come, to share, to love, honor each other in our pursuit of business adventures. I'm honored to be on here and talk about mine with you.
And we're honored to have you.
Yes, very honored that you came to share your story and your knowledge.
Thank you.
Word on the street says there's something new at Just Minding My Business Media. You've heard our podcast, Just Minding My Business Radio, that brings news and views you can use. That airs every Thursday at 6 p.m. on iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, and Spreaker. Well, now you can watch Just Minding My Business. That's right, Just Minding My Business Media now has a TV presence on Raven International TV Network, broadcast on Roku, Fire, and Apple TV. Your business, through Just Minding My Business Media, has exposure on internet radio, major social media platforms, and now TV, through Just Minding My Business dynamic digital marketing platform. Don't listen to the word on the street. Hear it for yourself. Visit jmb.asistercircle.org to learn how you can take your business, your vision, to the next level. Thank you to the amazing women of A Sister Circle Empowerment Network, ASCEN LLC, and our media partners. Let Just Minding My Business Media promote your business. For information, visit us at jmb.asistercircle.org. That's jmb.asistascircle.org. Voiceovers by RCH VoiceWorks. for when you want to be heard. Call 443-620-4115.
Thank you for tuning in to Just Minding My Business Radio. I'm your host, Ida Crawford.
And I'm your co-host, Ruth Haskins.
We hope you enjoyed the show and appreciate you stopping by. Many blessings to you and yours.